Hey, what's up guys? So here is another movie review, and this time I'm reviewing the movie The Expendables 3. Now, I was actually really excited for The Expendables 3. There were a ton of awesome trailers. It had a huge cast with a bunch of people like Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Kellen Lutz, Terry Crews, Kelsey Grammer, a ton of people that I can't name right now. Um, but bottom line, I was actually really excited for this movie. And how did it do? Unfortunately, The Expendables 3 kind of disappointed me, and it kind of disappointed me in a big way. Is it a terrible movie? No. But is it great? Is it God, I can't speak right now. Did it live up to my expectations? No, not really. First off, let's talk about the acting in this movie. And for the most part, the acting in this movie is actually pretty good. All the Expendables from the first two movies are back and as good as ever, but the main guy who actually steals the show in this movie is Mel Gibson as the villain, who is good old crazy Mel Gibson. He's intimidating, he's over the top, and he's badass. But on the other hand, there are some people in this movie who just aren't so good. And it's mainly the new cast. And the new cast includes people like Kellen Lutz, Antonio Banderas, and Rhonda Rousey, I think her name is. It's the blonde chick. And the new cast just doesn't have the charisma or the wit of the older cast, which is really disappointing because I really like people like Antonio Banderas or Kelsey Grammer or some of these other people. Also, the action in this movie is kind of hit or miss for me. The action at times has too much shaky cam, which actually really gets on my nerves sometimes. But when the action is good, it's really fun to watch. The fight scenes are well choreographed, and there's some really intense scenes here and there. But sadly, most of the action is just quick movements with the camera shaking, and that's really sad to say. The writing and story in this movie just isn't really good either. And I wasn't expecting there to be a good story or good writing. I was just expecting there to be a simple story with okay writing. But the writing isn't well written, and the film focuses too much on the dialogue and story. So most of the movie is dialogue with a few laughs thrown in there. And is the movie funny? Sometimes. Sometimes the movie has funny lines, and some of the comedy just falls flat, and I didn't laugh a lot in this movie, but the few times where I did laugh pretty hard, so I guess that counts. But the one saving grace in this movie is the last action sequence, which I thought was actually very well done. The shootouts, the fight scenes, I thought everything was done excellently in that last action sequence at the climax. Final verdict: The Expendables 3 isn't terrible, it isn't great either, it's just kind of mediocre at best. The acting is good, the action is either good or bad sometimes, but the last action scene at the very end is worth it. But unfortunately, now that I've watched the movie about like 4 hours ago, I actually kind of forgot all about the movie, and that's not really good. So I'm gonna have to give the Expendables 3 a 5 out of 10. It's not really worth watching, but if you're just trying to pass the time for 2 hours, it's not the worst thing to watch.